Here.
Rob Caruth.
Present.
Amy Grantham.
Here.
Nancy Hopper.
Present.
Katie Jess.
Here.
John Prouty.
Here.
Melissa Smits.
Present. If you could all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In front of you, you have the previous minutes. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown.
Aye.
Rob Caruth.
Aye.
Amy Grantham.
Aye.
Nancy Hopper.
Aye.
Katie Jess.
Aye.
John Prouty.
Aye.
Melissa Smits.
Aye. Next, you have the agenda in front of you. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown.
Aye.
Rob Caruth.
Aye.
Amy Grantham.
Aye.
Nancy Hopper.
Aye.
Katie Jess.
Aye.
John Prouty.
Aye.
Melissa Smits.
Aye. Next, we have special presentations, and tonight I believe we get to hear from international teachers.
I know those two.
Okay, introduce ourselves. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, okay, you want to go first?
I'm Rapson from Malawi, Africa. I'm at Fort Morgan Middle School. I teach industrial technology.
Hi everyone, good evening. I am Marnie Kontik. I am a special education teacher in Fort Morgan High School, and I handle the seniors and the sophomores. Sorry about that. I was starstruck.
And I'm Shelley Langford. I work at the middle school. I am a part-time instructional coach, and I am an 8th grade reading teacher.
Amy Holquist. I'm the same thing as she is.
Yep,
At
we're
the middle
together.
school.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
We're gonna rock.
First slide. Okay, Rapson, you're up.
All right, so the process of coming here starts with application online. So we can apply directly to the district, or sometimes we can use our agents. But for me, I did it directly. Then from there, we have to find a visa sponsor. So a visa sponsor is actually the company that prepares our visa documents. So usually we use the Green Heart International. Then they ship documents to our home countries. Then we go to our local embassies to get the visa. So once that is done, then we go for logistics, that is our airfare, and we liaise with the principal here or the HR to find accommodation. Then once we come here, before we start work, there's an induction program whereby we are taught how to teach in a U.S. school, because actually it's different from our home countries. Yeah, so it's totally different. The education system, the way the students behave, the teaching methods, so it's quite different. So we go for our induction. Once that is done, we start teaching, but still more. They are with us. They take us through our process, I think all year long. Yep, so actually that's what happens. In short, that's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you when our J1 visas came in, we ran a class before they had to attend, before new teachers, like it's August 5th, August 6th. We had high school coaches, middle school instructional coaches, and so we ran a class because we felt that there was a need to it's so much information coming out of a new teacher, right? And so we needed to set some parameters and be like, hey, here's some things we want to let you know this is going to be okay, because it's pretty brave to come to a new country and to say yes to teaching at a school that you never taught at before, and like all these different things. So that was kind of the agenda that we followed, and Amy and I will just go back and forth. We're just going to kind of share what we have been doing with the J1 visa teachers. So next slide, thanks.
Yeah, like Shelley said, I think we realized like pretty quickly, like this is different than an alternative licensure teacher. This is definitely different than like a teacher that did a traditional student teaching route. Like so, the objectives we kind of had is we wanted to say what it looks like in the United States. Like what does it look like in the United States classroom? Because it is different. We watch videos of these guys teaching in their home countries, and it's really it's a different world. So we had to talk about that. We wanted to talk about what a good lesson looks like here, like what a good lesson from start to finish, from bell to bell is. And then how we assess student learning, and then to talk about Fort Morgan, like what does our community look like? So what does the school look like? What do our kids look like? But also, like what's the community? Like what's our town? Like where are you gonna get insurance? Like where's that gonna happen?
Where do you go if you're sick?
Yeah,
What do you do?
where do you get
These
your
are
haircut?
different in
Like,
different countries.
It's all different.
So next slide. So then we go on to, we look at the standards, curriculum maps, and support materials. So we got them acquainted with the Colorado academic standards. The one in the middle is a curriculum map from the middle school, and the high school had curriculum maps as well. And then as instructional coaches from the high school and the middle school, we started collaborating. We created a spreadsheet of like all these videos of how to do it. Because you know, sometimes we get going, we get rolling, and you know how to do something, you know, and somebody's like this, whoa, wait a minute. You're like, what, you're not with us, let's go. So that right there allows them to go at their own speed, own pace, so then they have that reference to go back to. Next slide.
We wanted to talk a little bit about what was important to us and how students learn. One of the things is it's not, especially now, we can't just teach content, right? We need to teach those critical thinking and that deeper level thinking skills. So we talk a lot about Bloom's, depth of knowledge and the rigor and relevance. That's like a big thing at our schools. So we really wanted to make sure that that was also imparted to our international teachers.
Excellent. Then we talked about lesson planning, collaboration, materials, technology, and those are all different things that go on at the middle school and at the high school. At the middle school, we're big on targets and objectives. At the high school, they always have the week at a glance for their teachers to use. We talked about warm-ups. We talked about the difference between direct instruction and indirect instruction. So it's a lot of information coming up, but we're trying to get them a head start before those first days start, so we can kind of like help them out a little bit. Next slide.
For assessment, there's this big thing at the high school, they always call it HDY, and
How do you know that?
yeah, but I like the acronym. How do you know they know, right? Like, so at the end of class, like, how do you know they met the objective? So we talk a lot about exit tickets. And then also, overall, what is a grade? Like, what does it represent? What should it represent? Like, is it mastery of content? Is it ability to turn in assignments? Is it a combination of these things? Like, what is it? Because again, we're not sure what the expectations were in Africa or in the Philippines. We don't know. So like, we're reminding them kind of our expectations and what it looks like here.
Yeah. And then also, who makes up Fort Morgan, school district? What students are we dealing with? What is our philosophy? All the items that are going along within our community, which also go along within our school. Okay,
yeah, the beauty of our community is that it actually is made up of people from all over
Yes.
and that speak multiple languages. And our kids come from all socioeconomic backgrounds. So that was something we also needed to share. Like, this is what we look like here. And then again, like, what does insurance look like? Like, what does health insurance look like? What does car insurance look like? Like, where do you get your plates? Like, all these things that we've never had to think about thinking about, we're starting to think about. And then also, like, what are you gonna do to have fun? Like, you're gonna go bowling, you're gonna go to the movie theater, like, you're gonna go to River Bridge, there's Riverside Park. Like, we had to, like, talk about these things, and, like, we want people to be happy and feel like they're part of this community. So it was important to also teach those things.
So then after we had that day, then we run a program that is district-wide and school-level-wide where we have induction training for first year. It's a 2-year program, so we have a schedule for our first year. And there are dates where they come to District Support Center, and then we have what we run at the middle school. And that also goes on in the high school too. And then for the second year, because it's a 2-year program, then we have what's going on for their second year. So we posted up there the topics, we meet with them during their plan times. We meet with them outside of school hours. constantly trying to help communicate, get things so that they feel comfortable, that we all feel comfortable, so you make it. And we also do get better faster, too. That's a program that we do with that.
Yeah, so we're gonna have, this is our first
Yeah.
annual second year international J1 visa teacher day on June 2nd. So this is a new thing that we just put together because what we've learned with our new teachers and our new teacher induction program is 1 year is just not enough. Like it just isn't. Like people need support longer than that. Like our teachers need that. So these guys are not an exception to that. So we're gonna keep with the support and we're helping these teachers.
Right.
So
So
they can
they'll
be
come
better
in, yeah.
teachers and be more.
They'll come in those 2 days and it'll be nice because it'll be second year or higher that we'll have 3 instructional coaches. So you can get that one-on-one time. Because, when you're in a school building and as instructional coaches, really, people are like, hey, can I get you? And they're going to get our undivided attention. And you know what? They're hard working. And they're going to get paid a little bit for it, to me, outside that time to do that because it takes a lot to come in and to do this. And they put in a lot of hours to make it and to be successful.
Hi everyone again. So I am Marnie, and it's my 3rd year here already as a J1 a cultural exchange teacher. So a friend of mine invited me here, and then I came here, and here I am. So coming here, it has been a lot of growth. It's professionally, I have grown a lot during those times that I was here, but generally this is what a J1 visa teacher looks like the requirements and stuff. So a J1 visa is generally a cultural exchange, and we are allowed to stay here for 3 years. Okay, and then after our 3 years, we can have our extension depending on the school. Okay, so during those times that we stay here for 3 years, we have the cultural activities, wherein every year we have to make 1 local exchange activity and 1 international exchange activity. That means that I, as an international teacher, I will share my culture to my students, and then they will. My students also in the Philippines will be exchanging information to the student here in the US. So one of the activities that I did was to just give a general background about what Philippines is, like the scenic spots in the Philippines. And then I asked my student in an English class to write a letter like a pen pal, and then to talk about Colorado, the scenic spots here in Colorado. And then my students also in the Philippines before would also be talking about their place and then the scenic spots. So it's how the exchange happened. So every year, that's a requirement every year. So it's my 3rd year, so I had my 3rd. Okay, but anyway, with that also, now I am applying for my extension. So an extension will be asking for the letter of reference describing my performance. So that will be coming from my beloved admin. So, and then also the compilation of my 3-year cultural activities. And then after that, we will go home for a residency requirement, although there are ways to waive that residency requirement. There are prerequisites on that one. But as of this time, I am in the process of the extension, which is, I think, I'm the 2nd cultural exchange teacher who will be doing that for this span of time. But overall, coming here in Fort Morgan is a great experience for my professional growth, cultural awareness, and also fun. It's so fun to be outside your country and just enjoy the different, culture. So, yeah, questions? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and apart from that, after the 5 years, but this one varies depending on the country. You can apply for, you can change the type of the visa from J1 to H1B. So actually, H1B will give you 6 years plus extension 4 years. So, but this one varies, according to the countries. And some countries, you just go up to 3 years. You don't need even the extension. So it depends. So that's it. So you can have 6 years, then after that, another 4 years, plus the initial 5, making it 15. Yep. Then from H1B, you can migrate to resident permit. You call it the what? The green card. Yeah, something like that. So you can stay forever, depending on from where you come from. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what we have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions?
I wish we could see a little enthusiasm out there.
Come visit us in the high school. I know, right? Come over to middle school too. Come to both places, right? Okay.
And when you talk, why do you want middle school teachers to be in charge of this? Again, just take a look. And I always say, you got to be a little bit off the center to be a middle school teacher, and they fit it perfectly. So, I mean, I think it's a good match how they put it together. And I never experienced J1 teachers before I came here, and I didn't have a clue. And all I can say is just impressive. You know, what you guys bring to the district and the different cultures. So thank you. And thank you guys for helping out and doing that.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
I agree with Shelley that you are very brave to come here.
Yeah, very
It's
good.
very awesome. Next on the agenda is the opportunity for audience. Do we have anyone with public comments? Okay, we will follow along to reports. First of all, our FMHS student representative, Alex.
So first of all, I would like to thank everyone back, and I'd like to think that I think you guys had a wonderful Easter. Hopefully you guys did, because I did. This month, we have prom at the high school coming up this Saturday with the grand march starting at 7 o'clock. The after prom will follow starting from 11 to 2 a.m. with an entry fee of $10 to all high school students. This week, there will also be some science testing going on at the high school as well for the underclassmen. Some sports games we have going on tomorrow will be the girls and boys, the girls soccer team, the boys baseball team, and the girls tennis team. Soccer will be at Niawha, baseball will be at Roosevelt, and tennis will be at Mountain View. For seniors, there's only 4 weeks left, and for the rest of the school, there'll be 6 weeks left. So let's finish this strong.
There you go.
Thank you, Alex. So next, reports from the board. I know Nancy has one.
I'll give mine, and then I think Chris had one too. House Bill 221295 is the Department of Early Childhood, and we've talked about that one before. There's been lots of amendments made to it and discussion and testimony. One of the things I picked up the other day is that they're reallocating ARPA funds to help support that. That may have been known to others, but I didn't catch that earlier. House Bill 221260, medical necessity services. Although we always support our students in schools with their needs, we're opposing this one because it misrepresents the 504 status of kids on those types of things, and it also opens up schools for liabilities as to who is in a building to provide those services, mainly for autistic children and with the ABBA type of therapy. 221358, clean water in schools. ARPA funds would be reallocated to go to the EPA, not schools. And again, it's an unfunded mandate. Not in support of that. House Bill 221355, which is the producer responsibility program for recycling. If this goes through, school districts on their report of how they're doing academically, of their rating, they would be rating the school district on how well we recycle and use recycling centers, which we don't have necessarily a recycling center here, so I think some of those people need to get a better life. But anyway, okay. And then Senate Bill 22137 is just the transition back to standards and the accountability, and that's my report.
Thank you. Chris?
Melissa and Nancy and I last Wednesday went to a BOCES legal presentation in Greeley, and it was really an excellent presentation. We talked about duties of the board, talked about ethics and working as a team, talked about social media, talked about what constitutes a meeting, and it was an excellent presentation.
Very impressive.
Learned a lot.
Yep. Does anyone else on the board have a report? Okay, then we will move right along to our superintendent, Dr. Miller.
I'll be fairly quick because you'll get tired of talking to me tomorrow. But first on Alex's report, I believe, aren't you part of that court? Aren't you you're one of the king nominations. So we don't know if we'll have royalty until probably the next meeting. So if you're coming in next meeting, Alex, wearing a crown,
We'll know.
we'll understand, okay? I don't know if I'll kneel or anything, but we'll understand. Going to talk just a little bit. Brian's not here tonight on his report. And you'll see on some of the resignations, we lost two good principals, which now we're getting ready to replace. And the only other thing that there's a lot of missing, but one in particular, we did replace the special ed director, and I think that'll probably get Jay Lynn, who's here tonight, is going to do that. She agreed, I don't know why, to come to the dark side and to the actual district administration office. So that'll be appreciated as far as that goes. HVAC, I've talked about a lot. We've actually got a Zoom meeting tomorrow. It'll finally be decided. So by the May board meeting, there will be either a contract brought to you or not, because I'm tired of messing with it, but we had to make sure on all the bids, was it accurate? Not going to talk about legislative stuff. Nancy does a good job of that. I don't know if you want to wait, Nancy. I just heard tonight that she's got so much influence, so much on CASB. It's amazing that they're actually going to, CASB's going to come here and give an update.
That's right,
with
May
the
25th.
When is that?
May 25th.
May 25th.
6 to 7:30. Matt Cook is planning on being here in our boardroom to give a legislative update, and he will provide dinner.
So that's good, and they're coming right here, so that'll be nice. That way, everything will be completed by that time we'll have in place. The last couple things, just a reminder, tomorrow's work session, we're starting at 4. I've got a few things to cover quickly. The biggest part of that work session will be Dr. Zila will go over the board norms. So I've got you from 4 to 5, no in-depth in anything. There'll be no vote. Now that, as Coulter told you, there's a difference between the meetings. So we'll get that in place. And I will probably, for sure, need another work session probably in May. And that'll be Tony and I's show for budget when we get that in place. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's between the first and the second board meeting in May. So we can discuss that, because Tony's got to have her preliminary budget to you by the second meeting in May. So that's all I have, unless you have questions. Thank you. And Tony has no report now, so. I took Brian's, let's see, for Rena's report.
Thank you. So next, we have Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Frasco.
Thank you. You have a couple action items for me this evening, including mathematics curriculum adoption and also ESSER K-8 math and K-3 math read grants. So I'm just going to briefly touch base, and then when it gets time for action, you can ask more questions. But we've had a really great great time. I guess a lot of time was spent on mathematics curriculum this year, and I think I mentioned at the last board meeting, we're actually adopting the same program, K to 12. In all my time, I don't think that's ever happened. In fact, I don't think in my 20 years in the district it's ever happened. So we're purchasing Envision by Savas, which used to be Pearson. And so part of that is it's a big expenditure, and it's actually, when you go out for a K-12 bid, you never know what it's going to come back as. And so it's just over $400,000, $420,000 for K-12. And keep in mind, that's a 6-year adoption. However, the great news is that these ESSERS monies are available. So they have rolled out a K-8 math and a K-3 reading. You just actually have to ask for approved curriculum. You can ask for $150 per pupil per subject. So what I'm asking for tonight is I'm going to ask for the $467,000 for math and ELA, because we are not using an approved curriculum for K to 3. It's not READ Act approved, the program we're currently using. The state's kind of been pushing us, and I keep asking for money. And so we're gonna apply for all these grant monies, and hopefully at least we get the math monies. The reading, we haven't really technically done a curriculum adoption. We do have a couple grades at Baker piloting CKLA by Amplify, and they're really liking it. They're really liking the reading. The kids are super engaged. So anyway, so I'm hoping that at least we get the money for math, because that will just save the general fund a lot of money. The other thing that I did, because I can only purchase K-8, there's still about $100,000 left for high school. So last week I was thinking through like these supplemental monies that we got for ESSERS 3. So we got like $348,000. And I put just placeholders in the budget to get it to final approval. So I've actually changed the figures in the ESSERS 3 money. It's a good use of one-time money is to buy curriculum. And so I haven't gotten approval yet, but I'm hopeful that they will approve a high school purchase for math out of that money. So that'd be good news overall for the curriculum budget, not having to spend really anything on textbooks if we're successful. So those are the two action items. I wanted to give you a quick update. Today we actually had professional development, so across the district, teachers were learning and doing some work, and so all elementary K-5 met this afternoon at Baker to talk about Nancy Fetzer writing. We're actually we're just going to try to do things as a system, so things are pretty consistent across elementaries. And the whole writing came about because of Baker and Green Acres doing letters training for the science of reading, and it ties in really nicely. There's writing across curriculums, which is needed. And then the middle school, high school had some time this afternoon with, they got to choose ELL or special ed, and then they did some work on Infinite Campus. So I thought it was hopefully everyone took something away from today's professional development, and we know how important those days are. And then finally, I told you at the last meeting that we went ahead and applied to get grant monies for 10 years for that alternative preparation program. We actually already got feedback from CDE. I already submitted I had to respond to some feedback, and I submitted within like 48 hours, so it's going to go to the May 11th state board meeting to see if we actually get funding to launch that program this fall. And just as you heard, like our J1 international teachers would be actually eligible to participate in the program, because I feel like it's really important, and it's going to layer on just to our induction program. And so I know that our instructional coaches are really excited about it, because it will just provide a lot more what they're already doing on their weekends and what they're already doing during the year. It will just provide more of a structure for those folks coming into the district. So we'll see what the state board has to say, but you have to have rationale, you have to have syllabi, you have to actually have a lot of things laid out. So hopefully if you get through it went to a bunch of reviewers across the state. So people who are already like doing alt programs actually were able to review like what it should look like. So hopefully we get approval on that, we can move forward. And it's state assessment time, and it's not my favorite time of the year. Don't publish that. And so far we've had very few technology issues, and things seem to be going pretty well. Good thing we weren't testing today when the power went out for like an hour, but yeah, was it out for like an hour here? A little less. Yeah, so anyway, but so far so good, and I think we had a pretty good turnout for SAT testing and PSAT testing last week at the high school, so end of April, and then we'll be into the next end of the year kind of assessment stuff.
I want to make a comment and then have a question. The mobility issue in this district is very large, and so having a continuous implementation of an adopted program I think is huge, and I really commend you guys for that, because I've said that as a teacher and a principal, when you have different ones in different buildings with our mobility, it's not right. Yep. And then, so you're telling me that K-3 is going to be implementing 2 curriculums, math and reading. So the nice thing about the ELA, I'm just going to ask for the grant dollars because the grant is due at the end of April. Right. And I have a whole year to spend that money. So my goal is to not necessarily launch, because I didn't want to send elementary teachers into heart attack mode today. But I did let them know, like, I'm going to ask for these monies because it's available. Baker actually might want to move forward with it rather quickly just because they're piloting
and they're seeing good success with it. So if we get the grant monies, we could potentially, it's kind of like what we did with Nancy Fetzer, that a lot of teachers have been going to Baker to watch the implementation. And I know the best buy-in we get is when teachers start utilizing things and say, oh, we really like the way this works. And the nice thing with the math is they did try out like 4 or 5 different programs. Not sampled like lessons and pulled them out just to see what the usability was. And it's been a while since teachers have really done that before we decided on purchasing a program. So that, I think, also helped narrow down. Elementary was a little all over the place, if you do get feedback from elementary teachers on the committee, but we had to come to a consensus, because I had a teacher from every grade level, from every building. And so, having 25 people's opinions about math and what they like about programs and not like. The nice thing is that a really strong mathematics teacher is a strong mathematics teacher, and so it'll be nice that we're really, that we are aligned across the system.
Yeah.
Other questions? And science is up for adoption next year.
Okay, next we have the report from our Chief Financial Officer.
Well, good evening. There's not a lot going on to report. There's a lot going on in finance. We finally were able to put 2021 to bed, and we're moving into the current year and future year. So Penny's been really busy doing account reconciliations, and just our books are going to be in such good shape. I'm just really excited. I think we're actually going to be able to, our goal is to have the audit finished without doing an extension this year. So if we make that goal, I'll probably throw a little confetti and be excited. I'm spending my time right now working on the budget for 22-23, and so as Randy said, we'll have a preliminary draft to you all by the second meeting in May, which gives you time to look at it, ask questions. If there's something in there, poke holes at it before we finalize the preliminary in June.
Sounds great. Thank you. All right, so we have already had our Human Resources Director report from Dr. Miller. So moving on to discussion items, we have discussion item A, policies, policies AC, DJB, GBI, JICDE, JICDE-E-1, JICDE-E-2. Is there any discussion about that? So this is the third reading of those. We also have under B, policy GDKA, which is also the third and final reading of the length of support staff workday. Any discussion about that? And discussion item C, policy JLCD, administering medication to students, also the third and final reading. Any discussion? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have the personnel action report. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smits?
Aye. We'll move along to the action items. Action item A is policies, third reading, final reading, AC, DJB, GBI, JICDE, JICDE-E-1, JICDE-E-2. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smits?
Aye. Action item B, policy GDKA, length of support staff workdays, third and final reading. And what is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smits?
Aye. Action item C, policy JLCD, administering medication to students, third and final reading. Pleasure of the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown,
Aye.
Rob Caruth,
Aye.
Amy Grantham,
Aye.
Nancy Hopper,
Aye.
Katie Jess,
Aye.
John Proudy,
Aye.
Melissa Smits.
Aye. And then moving along to action item D, we have the mathematics curriculum adoption. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown,
Aye.
Rob Caruth,
Aye.
Amy Grantham,
Aye.
Nancy Hopper,
Aye.
Katie Jess,
Aye.
John Proudy,
Aye.
Melissa Smits.
Aye. Action item E, we have the ESSER K through 8 math and K through 3 read grant. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown,
Aye.
Rob Caruth,
Aye.
Amy Grantham,
Aye.
Nancy Hopper,
Aye.
Katie Jess,
Aye.
John Proudy,
Aye.
Melissa Smits.
Aye. Action item F, application renewal for Lincoln High School Alternative Education Campus designation. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown,
Aye.
Rob Caruth,
Aye.
Amy Grantham,
Aye.
Nancy Hopper,
Aye.
Katie Jess,
Aye.
John Proudy,
Aye.
Melissa Smits.
Aye. And now advanced planning, which is going to take longer than the action item. A, there's a work session beginning at 4 tomorrow, Tuesday, April 19th. Board of Education meetings in May are on May 2nd and May 16th. We have National Teacher Appreciation Week, May 2nd to May 6th, and the Appreciation Day is Tuesday, May 3rd. Fort Morgan High School Senior Banquet is May 11th. The Lincoln High School Graduation Ceremony is May 13th. The Fort Morgan High School Baccalaureate is May 20th. Fort Morgan High School Graduation Parade is May 21st. Fort Morgan High School Graduation is May 22nd. Are you getting excited for any of that yet, Alex?
Kind of.
Fort Morgan Middle School Continuation Ceremony is May 26th, and the last day of school is May 27th. End of the year staff picnic is May 27th. I'm assuming that's right after school is over. 22nd. And if there is nothing else to be brought before the board, we are adjourned. Time for notes.